If you've spent any time outside over the past few days or even looked out your window, you've probably noticed brownish light, haze, and the smell of smoke. The North Country usually has exceptionally good air quality. But right now, according to Professor Suresh Dhaniyala at Clarkson University, the amount of particulate matter floating in the air here is as bad as it is in some of the most polluted cities in the world. And he says hazy, smoky days like this may become more common as wildfires keep getting bigger and more frequent. Hear more from Professor Dhaniyala about how all this smoke ended up here on today's edition of Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And from SciTech Business Solutions, training and consulting services to help businesses grow. More information at citec.org.
Hi, I'm Lucy Grindon, filling in this week for David Summerstein. It's Wednesday, June 7th. Governor Kathy Hochul is recommending that New York school districts cancel outdoor activities as smoke from Canadian wildfires has triggered air quality alerts across most of the Northeast. The state departments of Environmental Conservation and Health have issued air quality warnings since Monday. And according to the most recent forecast, much of New York outside of the North Country is expected to be in an air quality index of unhealthy to very unhealthy today. The governor says she supports the decision of school districts that have suspended outdoor activities, and she urges others to follow suit. Health officials are telling people to limit strenuous outdoor activity in areas covered by air quality alerts. There are more than 150 wildfires burning in Quebec right now. Smoke from those fires has been blowing down across New York State. Health officials have been advising people to limit their time outdoors, especially children, the elderly, and people with heart or breathing problems. Clarkson professor Suresh Dhaniyala has been tracking the wildfire smoke and its effects on air quality in the North Country. He spoke with our Adirondack reporter, Emily Russell.
So a lot of the fires in Quebec are burning hundreds of miles away. How is it possible that that smoke from up there can blow this far south and feel like it's like settling right on top of us?
Yeah, I think what we're experiencing here is what people on the West Coast see all the time. Particulate matter from fires that travel hundreds and sometimes thousands of miles. And these particles, so during a fire event, you get particles of all different sizes. The biggest particles will drop closest to where the fire is, at the source of the fire. And the smaller particles, they get elevated by the hot air that's generated during the fire. And once it gets up to a little bit of an altitude, the winds can carry them a long distance. And we're talking about particulate matter right now that's largely smaller than 10 micron. And most of the particles are probably smaller than 2.5 micron. And again, so these sizes are about 1/10 the size of the width of your hair. So very, very small particles. And so they don't drop down that quickly. And so they can remain afloat in the air. And if there's winds, even just a light breeze, it's being carried out to long distances.
And why is it bad to breathe in fine particulate matter?
So particles smaller than 10 micron can be effectively transported through our upper respiratory system into our lungs. And smaller particles, especially if they're smaller than about 2.5 micron, those ones can travel the deepest to your respiratory system. They're going to be transported deep into your lungs. Many of them will remain there. Some of them you exhale back, but you're depositing a lot of these particles inside you.
Have you been changing what you do in these last few days in terms of like going outside and being outdoors?
Not me personally. I haven't made a change yet, but But I know my daughter, she's asthmatic, so we told her to curtail her outdoor exercising today. But I think the numbers have gone up since this morning too. So in the evening, we'll probably take a shorter walk than we would normally do.
So you've been tracking the wildfire smoke from the campus at Clarkson in Potsdam. How have you been doing that, and what are you seeing?
So we have air quality sensors outdoor on our roof and indoor in our classrooms. And we've been monitoring outside, inside air so we can understand ventilation systems and how to optimize that on a consistent basis. With this event happening right now, what we have noticed is, of course, the outdoor air has climbed up consistently over the last 36 to 40 hours. And it's gone from, as you know, the air quality here in North Country, the air quality is exceptional. So the particulate matter numbers, which are typically measured in microgram per meter cube, is well below 10 microgram per meter cubed. And now we're seeing numbers about 150 microgram per meter cube. This will compare with some of the most polluted cities in the world. And what you're seeing is, of course, we bring a lot of outdoor air indoor. That's a way to keep the indoor air safe also, so we don't have buildup of indoor pollutants. But right now, bringing in outdoor air also brings in outdoor pollutants. And so what you're seeing is that, indoor air can also be quite unhealthy.
From your research and just your understanding of climate change and the environment, do you think that a place like the Adirondack North Country is going to experience more of this kind of poor air quality from wildfires hundreds of miles away?
Yeah, that's a great question. On a regular basis out here in the North Country, our particulate matter numbers and general air quality is exceptional. And so we are well below the levels of what we need to maintain to have a healthy air. With forest fires, all bets are off because these are not pollutants that we're generating locally, and they're transported hundreds of miles and even thousands of miles. We know that we can see forest fire particles from the West Coast all the way out in the Midwest. With increasing temperatures and changing precipitation patterns, it is possible that the wildfire events will be different in terms of magnitude and frequency. So I do expect that we will have more days like these, but it's tough to control because these are not local events. They're not something that we can control by regulations. It is an air pollution problem, but it is driven by climate change and driven by policies that are different from the environmental policies that are required to manage local air pollution.
That was Clarkson professor Suresh Dhaniyala speaking with our reporter Emily Russell. There's more news all the time at ncpr.org. Today's music was by Christopher Watts of Canton and Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid. I'm Lucy Grindon, North Country Public Radio.